friends, and welcome back to another episode of Making Sense of the World. This episode comes in the wake of the spate of recent killings and beheadings in France by Islamist lone wolves of the Chechen and the Tunisian origin for the act of allegedly defaming Prophet Muhammad by the means of reproduction of cartoons of the Prophet which appeared in the Charlie Hebdo magazine. This incident once again brings into sharp focus the rise of militant Islam over the last century. Therefore, in this episode, we will be talking about when and why terrorism started in Islam in the 20th century with the misinterpretation of Islam. Before we begin, I request you to please subscribe to the channel and press the like button. Without further ado, let's start. Usually when we hear the word jihad these days, we associate it with terrorism in Islam. But does this word really mean a license to spill blood of innocents and spreading terror according to the Holy Quran? An analysis of the holy text reveals facts to the contrary. According to the Quran, there are two types of jihad. There is Akbar al-Jihad and Asghar al-Jihad. Akbar al-Jihad is the spiritual struggle within oneself against sin and has been placed at a much higher pedestal in Islam, whereas Asghar al-Jihad is the fight of Islam against its enemies. But to some of the misguided modern-day young Muslims who want to be part of history, the meaning of jihad is the killing of innocents. How did this start? Who started it? Well, a man named Sayyid Kotov would be a perfect candidate. He is known as the great martyr who saved Islam from stepping into the trap of modernity among Muslims. So who was Sayyid Kotov? Was he a leader? A warrior? A priest? No, he was a writer. He was from a small village in Egypt. But his existence only became well known in his 30s when he started writing books. He became popular because of his nationalist and anti-communist stance. His literary and social criticism earned him a place amongst Egypt's most popular people. Unfortunately for him, it also earned him the fury of the then king of Egypt, King Farouk. He managed to evade an arrest warrant issued by the king and sped off to the US. The ideas that would give birth to what we call Islamic fundamentalism were not yet completely formed in his mind. He hated all of the elements of modernity which had, in his mind, polluted the world and especially America. According to him, this included women roaming around, homosexuality, music, lack of spirituality, lack of discipline, etc. In his mind, all of the world was living like Jahiliyyah, and to satisfy Allah, all needed to live life like Prophet Muhammad and worship God as their top priority. Unfortunately, this also included the fact that women weren't allowed in public without male escorts, and that Muslim men could marry up to 4 women. After he came back from the US, he published his Saw Impressions about the West, which would shape the Muslims' perception about the New World much after he was gone. His inspiration and warped sense of the world became the guiding light of the Muslim Brothers. Kotov wrote a number of sharply critical articles calling for jihad against the British, at which time the leader of the non-aligned movement and the modernist autocrat of Egypt, Abdul Gamal Nasser, was trying to negotiate with them to end the occupation. After a failed assassination attempt on Nasser's life, Nasser used this opportunity to hang 6 conspirators and placing thousands of others in concentration camps. Kotov was sentenced life in prison with the charge of being part of the Muslim Brothers' secret apparatus that was responsible for the assassination attempt, and spent the next 10 years spending most of his time writing a highly personal commentary called In the Shade of the Quran, which when published caused the misinterpretation of jihad. That was the point when the meaning of jihad changed and when the founders of Al-Qaeda found their cause. This became the template of modern jihadist, and his writings find resonance amongst narrative of modern-day jihadi, notwithstanding whether he is the battle-hardened Arab fighter fighting the US forces in the craggy mountains of Tora Bora, or the super-rich Yemeni businessman like Osama bin Laden, or even the warped-minded street thugs like Zarqawi from Jordan who have held afloat the flag of Islam from time to time. We will talk about another demagogue who spoke of a similar narrative but who was an Indo-Pakistani figure named Abul Ala Maududi in another video. For now, goodbye.